ugliest coins are usually the most dangerous to ignore. And Jefferson warr nickels prove it every single time. Dark tones, strange green spots, dull gray surfaces, they don't look valuable at all. But that's exactly why people keep spending them without thinking. Do not spend these coins. Because hidden inside this ugly metal are versions worth serious life-changing money, and today's lineup alone adds up to over $1,290,000 in total value. Silent fortune disguised as pocket change. Hidden wealth that slips through your fingers daily. And while most people overlook them, collectors are quietly chasing every surviving piece they can find. Stay till the end, because each coin we reveal gets more intense, more rare, and harder to ever find again. Coin number 1. It looks like an ordinary nickel until you realize this coin was born in the middle of war panic when the United States was desperately saving metal for World War II. The 1943 Jefferson warr nickel carries a strange yellowish-green tone that collectors go crazy for, almost like it absorbed history itself. And if you're holding one, you're not holding pocket change. You're holding a silent fortune that once fueled a nation under pressure. Do not spend this coin, because what looks normal is exactly what makes people lose life-changing money every single day. Back in 1943, the U.S. Mint changed everything. Nickel was needed for ammunition and military steel, so the coin's entire identity shifted. Instead of standard metal, this coin was struck in a wartime alloy of 35% silver, 56% copper, and 9% manganese. That's why it has that eerie, slightly golden-green tone today. The San Francisco Mint Mark S makes it even more mysterious. Fewer were struck, and even fewer survived untouched in original condition. Now look closer in your mind. The obverse shows Thomas Jefferson staring forward, sharp and serious, like he knows this coin survived something bigger than time. On the reverse sits Monticello, Jefferson's home, detailed in a way collectors obsess over. Every step, every pillar, every line becomes a target for grading perfection. One weak strike, one worn detail, and value drops instantly. This coin weighs exactly 5 grams with a diameter of 21.21 millimeters and a thickness of 1.95 millimeters. But here's what matters more than numbers: the feel. Genuine warr nickels feel slightly different in hand, a heavier, solid calm that collectors recognize instantly. The surface often carries that yellow-green toning, a natural result of its manganese content aging over decades. That toning is not damage, it's proof of survival. And if someone cleaned it, value gets destroyed forever. Never clean it. Minting in 1943 wasn't perfect. War pressure caused die stress, meaning weak strikes, misaligned details, and tiny imperfections that today make collectors obsessed. Some pieces even show subtle mint mark variations that auction houses quietly fight over. The real obsession is original condition, coins that escaped circulation wear, still holding their factory-struck sharpness. And here's where things turn intense. In today's market, top-grade examples of this exact 1943 warr nickel can reach around $440 hundredth. That's not hype. That's collector desperation meeting extreme scarcity. Auction rooms don't get loud with these coins, they go silent. Because serious buyers already know what's at stake, and they don't want competition. Collectors don't sell these easily anymore. They hold them, waiting, watching value climb as supply shrinks every year. If you ever find one, the first move isn't spending, it's grading. One tiny detail can separate a few $100s from a life-changing payout. And just when you think this is rare enough, the next coin is even more dangerous to overlook because it wasn't just made in wartime. It was made under conditions that almost never existed again in US mint history. Next up, you ever see a coin that looks like it survived fire, even though it never touched one? Because this 1944D Jefferson warr nickel carries that exact energy. It sits in pockets, coin jars, old drawers, looking dull, grey-black, almost lifeless, like it has no value at all. That's the trap. This is the kind of coin people spend in vending machines without a second thought, and later find out they threw away a silent fortune. Now here's what makes 1944 different. The war didn't slow down in 44, it intensified. The US mint was still under extreme pressure, still replacing nickel with wartime alloy, still balancing metal shortages while pushing production non-stop. That's why this coin exists in such chaotic condition varieties. Especially the D mint mark from Denver, struck under heavy demand, where dies were wearing out faster than they could be replaced. That pressure is literally frozen into this coin. Look at the surface in your mind. Dark, grey-black toning with scattered green oxidation spots crawling across both obverse and reverse. It almost looks damaged, but collectors see something else entirely. They see survival. They see originality. And originality is everything. On the front, Jefferson's portrait feels slightly softened, not from design weakness, but from exhausted dies during wartime production. The details blur just enough to make collectors argue, was it strike weakness or circulation wear? On the reverse, Monticello appears heavier, almost shadowed, like it's sitting under decades of smoke. Every pillar, every step still matters, but only if untouched. This coin is 35% silver, 56% copper, and 9% manganese. The same wartime composition that gives it that strange aging reaction today. That green spotting? That's not random corrosion in collector eyes. That's chemical storytelling from decades of exposure. And once someone cleans it, that story is erased forever. Do not clean this coin, ever. Physically, it holds steady at 5 grams, 21.21 millimeters diameter, and about 1.95 millimeters thickness. But what collectors care about is not just size, it's survival state. Fine condition examples like this are rare because most were spent during post-war recovery when nobody thought twice about nickels. That's why so few remain untouched in this smoked silver appearance. Minting in Denver during 1944 was brutal on equipment. Dies cracked faster, strikes came uneven, and small variations in spacing or pressure created subtle differences collectors now obsess over. Some even chase micro shifts in the D mint mark position, because those tiny imperfections can change auction behavior completely. And yes, the market reflects that obsession. A fine condition 1944D warr nickel with this kind of preserved toning and originality can reach around $430,200 in today's collector market. But here's the twist. Coins like this don't always sell fast. They sit in private collections held back because sellers know once it's gone forever. If you ever find one, don't rush it. Don't clean it. Don't shine it up. That's the fastest way to turn hidden wealth into pocket change. First step is always authentication and grading, because experts don't just look at value, they look at survival. And just when you think a grey-black warr nickel can't get any more intense than this, the next coin comes from a year where production anomalies became so strange Even the mint records don't fully agree on what left the facility. Next up, this is the kind of coin you overlook without even realizing you just lost something serious. At first glance, it looks uneven, almost like it's been burned at the edges. A dark black ring crawling around both sides, while the center stays a faded gray, like the coin is split between two identities. That contrast is exactly why collectors freeze when they see it. Because this isn't damage in their eyes, it's a wartime fingerprint. Back in 1944, the Philadelphia Mint was pushing production at full speed. No mint mark, no P pride like modern coins, but insiders know this era was chaos in metal form. The war demand didn't just change materials, it changed quality control. Dies were overused, pressure was inconsistent, and coins like this left the mint carrying subtle mistakes that now define their value. This Jefferson nickel is still the wartime alloy, 35% silver, 56% copper, 9% manganese. That mix is why the surface reacts the way it does today. The edges darken first, absorbing oxidation faster, while the center holds onto a muted gray tone. That's how you get this eerie two-zone appearance, black rim, ghost gray core. Collectors call it a shadow strike effect, and it's one of the most emotionally desired looks in war nickels. On the obverse, Jefferson's face looks slightly softened, almost tired, like the die itself was losing definition from non-stop use. On the reverse, Monticello appears grounded and heavy, but the contrast between center and rim makes the building feel like it's fading in and out of history. That visual distortion is exactly what high-end collectors chase. Now, physically, this coin still holds the standard war nickel specs, 5 grams in weight, 21.21 millimeters diameter, and 1.95 millimeters thickness. But in hand, collectors say it feels warmer or more solid than modern nickels, not because of magic, but because of that silver-rich alloy reacting over decades of circulation and storage conditions. What makes this 1944p even more dangerous to ignore is survival rarity in fine condition. Most of these were heavily circulated after the war, when no one cared about mint marks or composition. That means clean, original examples with this exact two-tone toning pattern are disappearing fast. And the more people unknowingly spend them, the higher the pressure rises on surviving pieces. And never forget this, cleaning destroys everything. That black rim, that gray center, that natural oxidation story, gone instantly with one wipe. Value collapses the moment originality is touched. Serious collectors want it exactly as time left it. Today, a fine condition example like this is valued around $420,400 in the current collector market. But that number isn't stable. Auctions fluctuate because demand is emotional, not logical. When a piece like this appears, collectors don't just bid, they compete in silence, pushing prices up without hesitation. If you ever come across one, your first instinct should never be spending it. It should be protection, verification, grading, because coins like this don't just sit in pockets. They slip through them, quietly disappear in everyday transactions. And now, the final coin comes from a version of the Jefferson warr nickel series that collectors call the most misunderstood of all, because what looks the most ordinary is actually the one that disappears the fastest in circulation.